So it's a new day, which means we have a new Cyberpunk controversy to talk about. This is by far the most talked about thing going on right now in the Cyberpunk community. I kid you not. Check it out here, 3,400 upvotes. It says, people who are okay with them killing reflections, how can you? That's like 50% of visuals of Night City, and one of the few selling points. This one comes from Water Resistant, and if we scroll down, we have been provided with two screenshots. One showcasing the game before update 1.3 on psycho settings. That's basically ultra PC. We have beautiful reflective surfaces at nighttime. And then post update 1.3, same settings, psycho ultra PC settings, no reflections at all. And a lot of people are disappointed that it appears that CD Projekt Red has decided to nerf a graphical feature of the game. So I was like, you know what? I need to discover if there's any truth to this, so I opened up Cyberpunk 2077 and did some comparisons. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video today. Plus, we're going to be talking about year 2 and 3 of Cyberpunk, because there's some indicators as to what we can expect from the future of this game. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good. And we're going to start with my older footage before update 1.3, showcasing the beautiful, glorious reflective surfaces at nighttime. And I personally really like it. It definitely screams that Blade Runner-esque type environment. I would imagine, that it would be somewhat misty all the time, weather going on. And I really felt like this looked really, really good with reflective surfaces and things like that. But as we get into, of course, the brand new update and update 1.3, we're going to switch to that gameplay right now. We see here that the reflections, it appears that they have really nerfed this part of the graphics of the game. Now, let me know what side of the fence you are on with this one. If you thought beforehand it was too wet, or now if it's fine, if you think that this is how it should have looked all along, or do you prefer the streets to be nice and reflective and wet? I even decided to walk around the streets, and it definitely looks different compared to before update 1.3. It honestly needs a simple fix where you can toggle reflections of the street on and off through the graphics menu. That would be nice. I think they definitely need to do this, but you know what? Modders will probably swoop in and save the day once again, so I expect modders to do something related to this and, help us out here, because a lot of people really want reflective surfaces in their nighttime gameplay. But the interesting thing is here you can see some of the puddles, and this is still footage from post update 1.3. Some of the puddles do really highlight the ray tracing reflective technology in this game, and that's something I really look forward to, is seeing that beefy graphical technology that the game does have, I guess you would say, hidden away in there in some ways. But it seems to be definitely more hidden than ever before, simply because the reflections aren't as prevalent in the environment. But it's still there. It's just less of it for sure. And if we keep going, we definitely see, here's another example of the ray tracing reflective surfaces that you can see right here. And this is stuff that I absolutely love to see in games. And yeah, I would like to see them return, or give an option to return the reflective streets that we had beforehand. I personally really dug them. But let's go ahead and talk about this one right here. We're going to be talking about a very loose Cyberpunk 2077 year 2 and 3 roadmap, courtesy of patch 1.3. This one comes from Forbes. Links in the description below, but let's take a look-see and see what they had to say, shall we? It says the following: CD Projekt Red is doubling, if not tripling down on Cyberpunk 2077 at this point. That much is clear from the scale of these patches, but since the launch spooked them, they're not talking about really anything regarding the future of the game until it's about to go live. Fortunately, the files are doing some talking for us. Patch 1.3 in particular has given us what I would call a very, very loose roadmap about what's to come in year 2, and potentially even year 3 of Cyberpunk. 6 months ago, you might have imagined this game was just going to be abandoned, but with 15 plus million sales, they want more out of it, trying to fix both the game and their reputation. Yeah, I just don't think CD Projekt Red is going to give up that easily with this game because of the sales numbers, the initial sales numbers. Now it says the rest of year 1. So what can we expect? It says we have 3 free DLC packs down, and I don't think it's unreasonable to guess that the other 11 or so are going to make it out by the time December rolls around, the 1-year mark of the game. Given that the 3 that launched were pulled from a recent data mine list, we do know a lot of what's coming, namely things like weapon packs and additional gigs, which should be more substantive than the jackets and cars we just got. Yeah, new weapons. See, for me personally, I do like the jackets, don't get me wrong, but again, third person, since there's no third person view, it doesn't matter as much to me, but cars and weapons, man, that's the type of stuff that I would really love to see in this game as free DLC and additions. Now it says one big question mark right now is the PS5 and Xbox Series X launch of the game, the next gen version. According to existing roadmaps, this is supposed to arrive before the end of the year, but it was not spoken about or even hinted at all in the recent live stream, and we still don't have a date for it. While it's possible it makes it out this year, I wouldn't rule out that it might be pushed until 2022. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened as well. There are some noteworthy releases happening this year that I think could be considered competitors to Cyberpunk. We have, of course, GTA 5 remasters coming up here, and the most recent big one, Skyrim, is getting another remaster. A lot of people are excited about that one, so people might have their, attention directed towards those things instead of Cyberpunk. So they may want to hold out and wait till 2022. We'll see what happens. What about year 2? It says, this is what the new 1.3 files tell us. CD Projekt Red has briefly spoken about a coming major Witcher-style expansion to the game, but this is the first time the files are confirming that it's not just 1 episode on the way, but 2, similar to The Witcher 3. We do not know the size of these, whether they will correspond to the big hearts of stone and the truly enormous blood and wine like The Witcher 3, but we do know that CD Projekt Red right now is sticking to that plan and is actively working on this content. Without question, I believe one or both of these will launch in 2022, though depending on the size and how things go with production, perhaps the second slips to 2023, which brings us to what does it bring us to? That's the question. It brings us to, guess what? Year 3. It says this is where we are getting very, very speculative, but as I said, it's possible we don't get a big second expansion DLC until the following year. But past that, the 1-3 files have indicated that CD Projekt Red has restarted development on some sort of multiplayer component to Cyberpunk after previously canceling a standalone game, Cyberpunk Online. We don't know what this means exactly, but my guess is more GTA Online style play rather than something more standard like co-op for the campaign, which is hard to see working given the first-person nature of every interaction, including the cutscenes. My gut sense is that this is a long-term project for Cyberpunk and Night City, and I would be surprised if we got some sort of grand multiplayer launch in year 2 as opposed to year 3. Again, I think CD Projekt Red has now confirmed they're in this for the long haul when it comes to turning around the game and building it out to their original vision, and that vision including big DLCs and multiplayer. So here we are. Yeah, I totally agree with this assessment for sure, because it would make sense that they would want to think long term with this. And I know if they are paying attention, they've heard the community screaming for a No Man's Sky style retribution type story, I guess you would say. So yeah, maybe they will take that approach. But will online really be the saving grace for Cyberpunk 2077? You guys have to sound off about that one. Or are you more interested in really big, high-quality expansions that it appears that they are planning for this game? I myself really am curious about these expansions. So I'm going to say that online would be really cool to be able to role play as different characters together in that sort of fashion, and that like have social systems and being able to buy, sell cars, property, run your own faction gangs, join groups, that sort of thing. But that's like an extensive, super extensive multiplayer, system right there. We'll see if they want to invest in that or not. But let's keep going, shall we? Now it's time to go over your top comments. Be sure to leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video right here. So let's do this. What was my most recent Cyberpunk video about, you ask? Let's find out, shall we? So this is it right here. It says Cyberpunk, all new updates. CD Projekt Red responds, new leak discovers multiplayer and expansions. Yeah, there was a recent data mine done of update 1.3 if you missed it. And it looks like, yeah, they are like adding some sort of multiplayer gyms, they call it. I guess they are like test phases of multiplayer or online for Cyberpunk. So they are definitely doing something right now related to online, and that's more of a long-term plan again, so in the next 2 years or something like that. We'll see what happens. Now let's see what you guys had to say about this data mine. iMad LOL says better crowd AI, interactive interiors, minigames, more activities in this lifeless city, better NPCs interactions, better police system, being able to buy apartments and customize cars. The multiplayer would make sense if these things exist. Once that's done, everyone is happy, and a lot of people agree with this one. 175 upvotes. Flameville Bick says, yes, just what we need. More speculative leaks. 385 upvotes. Yeah, I hear ya. I prefer concrete information, don't get me wrong. Corey says this, just imagine it, playing with a friend, watching his or her character's extruded Gumby limbs flailing wildly next to you as you both run through Night City doing quests. Hey, it sounds entertaining though. Beck says this, we've known for a long time that expansions in multiplayer were coming at some point. We were just speculating whether they had backtracked on their original plans or not. Knowing that they still plan to go ahead with multiplayer means they'll be committed to put work into the game because it needs a lot of work before it ... reaches a state where it could even begin with it being a success as a multiplayer game. Yes. Yeah, they gotta like figure out how to first make a good single player Cyberpunk experience. And then they could do multiplayer. I think they're gonna try their way to work back to what was originally planned. And then go from there, but it's taking a lot of time for sure. Alright, so we have this comment right here from Exextra. They say if they had a roleplay mode where you lived as your character similar to the 5MRP servers, but in-game and with proper animations and functions for it, that would be kind of cool. Then you could have all these separate mini-games and competitive modes, wishful thinking, but maybe some games someday. Also, I'd like more spiky leather stuff, jackets, boots, and so on. Bring on the spiky leather stuff. We'll see if it's added in the future, you never know. But there it is, guys, the latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. Stay tuned for more news and updates about this one. I got you guys covered, whether it's good news, bad news. I will have the news. I really do like concrete, official news over leaks. And I'm going to be very cautious about what leaks I report on, by the way. But they are always something to take with a grain of salt. And we'll see what happens if they pan out to be true or not. That's going to be interesting. But thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you next time. Take care.